Very lovely. So, folks, welcome. This right here, right now, is the joy of being a live stream coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York. And if you're joining us anywhere on Earth other than twitch.tv/deepmindfulness, let me tell you, that ain't going to work. Now, what happened recently was our YouTube stream got smashed into pieces because YouTube somehow banned our stream as it was happening live. Thanks a lot, YouTube. Thing is that it made no sense because we have two streams going. We have one for archive purposes, one for just live stream purposes, and the one of them got cut down, and the other one, whatever, I don't know. Crazy world, man. So, folks, welcome. Where are you coming from? Where are we finding you from? As folks are beginning to roll in here, let us know. Where are we finding you? Let's see. What's new? What's going on? And how do we find ourselves? Today we're going to be doing a wrap-up or a summary meditation related to the multiple self model. We've been doing this for a number of days now, and we're going to be diving in. Hello. We're going to be diving in to that. So hello from Toronto. Lucian, welcome. Good to have you here. And let's see what else. We have our puppy. What are you whining about? She wants to play. Nick says, hello from the office in Karlstad, Sweden. Extra rough week. Oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that. So far, almost didn't make it. But the stream is what keeps my practice from going out the window, which is so backwards. So thanks, Janusz. How is it backwards? I don't understand how it's backwards. But sounds good to me. I realize, hey babe, if it's okay to bring the beep over, I'd love to have her say hi. Yeah. Oh, that's great. So Raquel's gonna bring the pupperoni over. She's very excited this morning. What else? What's going on, folks? So, okay, we're going to be launching. Oh, I should put this here because folks might not. Oh, here she is. Come here, little lady. Come here, little excited button. Whoa! She's very excited. Oh, you're making your old man noises. I know it's tough to exist, isn't it? You have to play all the time and eat food and what's up? What do you want? She's so sweet. Okay, so this is Stila. I don't know what the hell she wants. She wants something. What is it? What is it? Oh, she wants her breakfast probably. Okay, babe, this is getting crazy. Yeah, if you don't mind. You need, Stila? You need to become super dog. Usually, for some reason, calm down when we do this. Look how calm she gets. She's like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good girl.
Now I'm super dog. I'm good. Okay, I'm passing her off. Thank you, my darling. Okay. Let's see. Going back here, Nick says, the meditation is the first thing that goes during the hard times. Yeah, it's true. Not the fact that the stream helps. I see. Okay. Nick says, hello. Sila, hello. Sweet, playful, innocent. Growing by the minute. I think she's hitting a kind of her size. She's getting close. At least we're hoping. Our fingers are crossed. Yeah, well, she's occasionally a pain in the butt, but that's my fault because she's a pain in the butt because I want her to not be a puppy. Okay, I want to put this. I sent this out to folks. What? Oh, here it is. Okay. Oh, no, I don't have it. Okay, never mind. So I'm going to put this doodle poll in the chat here. And if folks want to take a look, this would be great. Let's see. Is here, I'm going to go to this poll. So this is when we're going to do our next online class. And if you're interested in participating or telling us when you would like to do that, let us know. I'm going to give you the link is going to be here in the chat right quick. And there's the link. If you want to let us know, if you'd like to do the class, we're picking time and days. So you can participate in that. We can figure out which day is the most liked day. A couple people have said, hey, why no East Coast after work time? And that's a good point. I think we maybe neglected to do that, so maybe we have to open a second unit. Okay, folks. So we're going to do a little meditation here. Oh, John's here with us. Welcome, John. Via our monk. Okay, so you're right. You're visiting your sister. I remember that. Okay. So, folks, we're going to meditate here for about 25 minutes. And if I can find the striker for the bell, we'll begin. Okay, we'll use our alternate striker here, Raquel's makeup brush. So, finding a nice, comfortable position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit, stretching out your weirdly crooked neck from sleeping wrong. I'm sure everyone else has this too. And we'll begin in just a moment. And we'll begin. Oh, real quick. Hey, babe.
Yeah.
Is she penned up?
No, she needs to be.
Could you? Yeah, just for sound. Raquel's gonna put the dog in the hole. In her cage. Little doggy prison. Okay. Give me the signal, babe. Good? Okay, so we'll begin. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths, just feeling the body rise and fall. We'll begin by sweeping through the body to be sure we're not holding any undue tension. So starting at the top of the head, relax the brow. Relax the muscles behind the eyes. Allowing the face to go smooth. Relax the back of the tongue. And let the jaw go slack. No need to hold it closed. Relaxing the neck and the shoulders, the upper arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, and relaxing the hands. Letting go of any attempt to control the breath, just letting the body breathe as it will. Noticing the natural tightening and relaxing of the upper chest and upper back as the breath comes and goes. relaxing the belly and the lower back. Relaxing the lower back deeply enough that it relaxes the hips. Spreading into the upper legs, knees and calves, the ankles, and relaxing the feet. And tuning into relaxation throughout the entire body. Bringing up a bit of attention related to the breath. And finding this balance between some detail of the breath. It can even be subtle detail, just 10% or 15% of our conscious real estate. And the rest can be open to holding the sensations of the body, or if it's more familiar, holding more sensations, more material in awareness. Using awareness as a kind of buffer. This large palette that holds the attention, holds the detail of the breath, rather than switching back and forth. Seeing how this palette can support this detail. If we find a balance between these two, we can simply label this as all. All the parts of the mind, awareness and attention simply balanced. Looking for the experience of harmony, parts working in consort to create a kind of stability, continuity. Each time we lose this continuity, not judging, this is quite natural. And simply coming back to an experience of balance. And sometimes distractions can bleed in just subtly. So making sure that we're not allowing our attention to drift over to whatever distraction is arising, just letting this material arise in the soft, open field of generalized awareness. And simply enjoying this process of coming back into balance, or remaining in the stability and the continuity of balance. Not fighting where we are today, just playing this simple game, returning over and over. Or remaining on and on. And now making a slight shift. Noticing what kind of contact we have with either our kind awareness this wide open, spacious knowing of our current experience. It has the slightest touch of care. Noticing if that's present or not. And if it's not present, noticing the degree to which self-identification, preferring is arising. And beginning to engage with a phrase, whether it's the voice of one of the selves expressing its particular need, or the voice of this kind awareness saying a soothing phrase directed towards all parts of us. Perhaps it's a phrase related to the presence of this kind awareness. I'm right here. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. Or perhaps it's a phrase related to the position or stance of this kind awareness. I love you. I love you, or I'll care for you. Or I'll be here for you. Perhaps it's the stance of receiving. I hear you. I hear you. I'm so sorry to hear that. I hear you. Or our own personal combination. Perhaps even with a word of encouragement. I love you. Keep going. I love you. Keep going. Directing this phrase towards any and all parts of ourself. Noticing if the phrase produces any pushback in the form of mental audio. No, I don't like this. This is silly. Why are we doing this? Some other protest. In the form of emotion, a feeling of this not being right, not being good. Or perhaps in the form of simple distraction, or sleepiness, or fogginess. knowing what's arising and simply responding to that with our kind phrase, making any adjustments we need to in order to soothe the part of ourselves that's pushing back. Not needing to suppress any part or voice or self that's arising. Simply allowing this dialogue, sometimes very repetitious, sometimes more dynamic, letting awareness speak when it needs to, which often is a lot of the time, and letting this part or parts that arise speak when they need to, often to lodge some kind of protest, to express that they feel they're not being met, their needs aren't being satisfied. The pushback or resistance isn't a problem. It's actually showing us clearly, distinctly, the self that feels like its needs are not being met. Every once in a while, checking in to see the level of identification. How much does it feel like I am making the protest, that this is my voice? And if we can, simply noticing this as a function, as an ongoing set of activities within our senses, among all of the other sensing experiences. Observing this happen rather than being or occupying this happening. Seeing identification as another phenomena. And seeing if we can direct our kind awareness phrase to all of being. Everything this human body-mind is experiencing at this moment. And staying with the practice, staying in stillness, allowing a tiny bit of light to enter the eyes, eventually resting them on a single point as they fully open. And continuing the practice, continuing the kind phrase. Or if we can simply abide in the momentum, the meaning of this phrase, directing it towards all of our senses, all activity. We might even let go of the words themselves and simply abide in the sentiment. Abide in the care of this larger awareness. And letting this moment here exist as a mix of formal practice and our daily lives, showing us how we might bring this experience into every aspect of our life. Okay. So making any adjustments you need to allow the body to be comfortable. Raquel was just saying she wasn't sure, this is before we started, if she was feeling ill. She's feeling some sickness arising. And in the middle of that sit, I had slept a little funny, so my neck was a little weird, but all of a sudden it's aching everywhere in the body. So that could be, sometimes that happens as an expression of the practice itself. They're sort of uncomfortable, a little unsatisfactory, you could say. The dukkha nature of body discomfort sort of rises to the surface. Or it could just be that I have some kind of achiness, body achiness coming on. Or it could just be that my blood is overly acidic, which would not be surprising. Okay, folks, so what was that like? What was your experience? What happened? And what on earth are you like now? Here's Meditation Mind says, back in your cage. Yeah, that's exactly it. As we force our minds into the cage of meditation, so do we force our little pup into their cage of solitude. Just kidding. She likes her little her little den. Feels like a little place where she can reside. This is sort of funny. while folks are sort of gearing up to give reports, what that was like, what happened. And let's see here. I'm going to pop Zoom open. We've noticed this thing for a long time. We're like, yeah, she just loves her little, her den. She loves it. She loves it in there. And we sort of noticed something at a certain point that we're like, wait a minute. We got her a little mat to put on the floor, and she loves sitting on the mat. And we're like, oh, maybe she likes her den because she just doesn't want to lay on the cold concrete floor. And that's actually what she's liking, less than the den and the fact that there's padding. It's a little revelation of the last couple of days. One thing I'll say about Zoom. Oh, we don't even have to. Okay, one thing I'll say about Zoom is they make it hard to find. Oh, the camera froze. Thank you, Nick. Do you know why the camera froze? If you're somehow up on the tech here, you'll know that it's because we opened Zoom. Let me fix that. Oh, nice camera free. Why is it that people don't look like total fools most of the time, but as soon as you freeze one of the frames, boy, do people look silly. Oh, wait a minute. Can I use this camera? Wait, let's use this for now. If I can use this camera, I'm total 100% doing it. 1 second. I want to see if this will work. Okay, let's see if we can switch to this other camera. Will it display correctly? Let me see this. Okay, let's see if it comes on, then it will. Anything? Nope. Okay, that camera's a bust. Go to heck. Okay, back to this. Next time we'll try that. Okay, folks, so what was that like? Exactly. So what was that like? What was that practice like? That was our sort of summary of the techniques we've been doing around the... Oh my God, I'm so icky. Around the multiple self model. What was that like? What happened? What on earth was that? What was that? And if folks want to jump on Zoom... Oh, did I even put it in the chat yet? I don't know that I did. I didn't. So there is the little Zoom sucker here. Okay, so Nick says, I had one strong part constantly shouting, we don't have time for this. Get moving. That's one strong part constantly shouting, we don't have time. Someone's joining us from Zoom. Hello. Just 1 second. I'll be with you in a second. Welcome. I don't know if you can see me, but I can see you. Hello. Monica. Hello. Okay, so 1 second here. We'll get you on the stream. I just want to answer this question. This part of us says, get moving. I didn't feel like identification with it, though, and I'm still here, obviously. But I kind of agreed with the voice. Does that imply identification? Seems weird if parts can't come up with good suggestions. Well, often the parts are... they have a very limited view. They have this little sliver of reality, and they say, oh, but I have this goal that I want to do. I want to do this thing, and this is very important to me. So that's often the case, that they have a very limited view. And identification is just like, does it sound like it's my voice saying that? That's pretty much, yeah, exactly. The very simple need, indeed. Okay, so I'm going to jump over here, and we're going to have Monica join us on the stream. Let me just get this set up here. Oh, I have to monitor number 2. Oh, there we go. Okay, we'll just bring our friends over here and maximize. And okay, excellent. So Monica, give me a little sound check. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, let me make sure that... Okay, sounds like we can hear you. I think so. Go ahead. One more time.
Hi, how's everyone doing?
Excellent. We can hear you now. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having this live stream. My name is Monica.
I'm also Monica.
No, you should know. We've just been listening to your podcasts and your teachings and your meditations, and they've been really wonderful. And I wanted to jump on Zoom today, in particular for this meditation, because I've been doing a retreat for the last month with the quarantine. And part of my practice has been doing the open awareness practice. And today was just like really really reinforced or resonated with me what I've been learning about my mind and myself, and the open awareness practice, infusing that kindness to it. It's really it really is healing for me. One thing that I learned through this retreat was that I've been doing so much wrong effort for so long, and that it's scary to let go of control. And it seems like my concentration or my meditations are like kind of backsliding or whatever, because I'm not like, stay focused. It's interesting. But yeah, when you directed us to like rest and abide in that kindness and say what it say for you, it said, for me, it said, trust I am you. And that's been a really big theme right now. It's been about trusting myself. And that there's that separation. It feels like that loving awareness is not me. So the fact that it's that awareness was like, trust I am you. And then how that expands outward in terms of other Mahayana practices of exchanging self with others. It was just like, oh, it connects a lot of dots for me.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's great. There's so much in what you just said. Did you have a specific question? I could respond to what you said, but I want to make sure if...
I guess I would say
you don't have to, by the way. I don't want you to feel like you have to have a question. There's a lot there.
Yeah, I do have plenty of questions, but I would love to hear if you have any pointers or anything that you thought of.
Yeah. Well, just what you were describing there's a number of things. One is the sort of cultivated identification with that kind awareness, which is sort of what that kind awareness was saying, is that trust that I am you. I don't think it's necessarily us. Like, we can cultivate a self that is very sort of small and afraid and sort of like the world is collapsing and there's no hope and what do I do? And we can cultivate that self. We can also cultivate this self that is this sort of kind, open awareness. And it's sort of strange to cultivate an identity, especially in Buddhism, with something, but the cultivation of self with this kind awareness is actually quite fruitful, because there's not a lot of space for self in there. It's sort of, it's very, very, it's thin air, versus there's a lot of sort of solidity of the self that's like worried, or the self that like is bossy, like, oh, I know what to do, or like these different selves. So just that cultivation makes sense. I mean, there's so much in what you said. Another thing is that you said it feels like your meditation is backsliding because it's like the focus isn't quite so like laser point there. Well, it's worth noting that I think at the beginning, I don't want to say at the beginning, at certain stages of practice, the laser point focus of practice, that's how we get concentration, or it's one way we can get concentration, and it feels very fruitful. It's like, okay, I'm focused. And then at some point, the system wants to open up to that awareness, and that pinpoint, detailed focus, it just sort of becomes less fruitful, and it needs to collapse. It needs to break down. And so the system actually wants to become more spacious, and there can be this sense of, I'm losing the sort of drive of my practice because that's breaking apart. And that's actually, what tends to happen is it feels very central for a while, and then it spreads out to be this sort of more spacious thing. And then eventually the spaciousness gets big enough that there's like a hole in the donut. Like it's just this sort of open thing with no no center to rely on. So yeah, I didn't know if that rang true or if that's
Yeah, no, that's really encouraging. Like, I think that for people who are really invested in meditation, there's this sense that like, if I have some distraction, I got to get rid of it, or it's bad, or it's like, Yeah, so just even orienting myself in that way to be like kind and like connected in a more broad space, as you said, it's like, yeah, I think that's like you hear, I've heard that word like surrender, and it's like, what does that mean? How do I do that? Like, how do I accomplish that? And so it's like, oh, it's actually just like going with the flow in terms of like being present with how your practice is evolving, as you said, and it does feel very peaceful and spacious to like rest my mind and connect with that kind awareness. So, yeah, I think especially for people who've been meditating a long time or who have a lot of goals, it's like, if there's no pain, there's no gain. Mentality can be a trap. So, but the pain, yeah. So anyway, I'm excited because I think that this is a new step in for me to like continue to practice that. So I guess my question would be, and then I'll let other people ask questions, is so in terms of like moving forward in practice or continuing, is it just a matter of deepening a sense of connection with that awareness and abiding more and more into that?
And what's the or?
Or yeah. Something different. I don't know. Maybe it's like
if it's, I don't have to. You don't have to figure it out if it's not there. I just heard there was like a second half to that.
Yeah, that's just me wanting to do the right thing or practice right.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this recently, that there's a self, or there's a part that wants to do it right, which is, I think that's the other thing to remember, is that each of these parts, their needs are valid. Even the part that is like judgmental, or the part that is, wants to be distracted, or just wants to like fool around or whatever, they're natural. And I think when you ask this question of like, what does surrender mean? Like, how do I surrender? I like to think of it as respecting nature. That's actually what our job is, as to surrender, is, oh, this is nature. So surrendering means that some part of us doesn't want to surrender, and it might not surrender. It actually might keep going, and that's nature. Of course it's going to be like that. That's normal. And just to notice that these different parts are present, and that they have these different needs, and often, how do we proceed in practice? How do we grow in practice? Has to do with, in this particular case, we're talking about the multiple self model, so I can talk about how to progress in that particular practice. Because I'm a big advocate that there is no one awakening, that is one generic thing, that if you do these things and you do it right, then you're going to get to this state, often that is so idealized that it just makes us, all our humanity needs to get out of here before we could ever have contact with that. And so one part is cultivating connection with that kind awareness. Another part is cultivating that it is a kind awareness, because awareness really, if it's really strict awareness, is so equanimous that it can often not care at all. It doesn't, I don't care. It could be pain, it could be, suffering, it could be someone else's suffering. That's fine with me. It's just sensation. I mean, this is just all phenomena. So it's cultivating the kind awareness, recognition that there are these selves, various selves that arise, selves that want things, selves that don't want things, etc. That's natural. Recognizing and soaking into the fact that they have needs, and if those needs aren't met, they're typically going to express themselves in lots of unhealthy ways, or lots of sort of difficult habits, or addictions, these kind of things. So part of our job is to meet those needs, and the self, or the entity that can meet those needs, is this larger kind awareness. So there's a number of parts, and actually, if it's of interest, let me put this in the chat here. So this is going to be a bunch of links. One of those links, right, and I always post it 3 times. I don't know, I haven't figured out why that happens. One of those links is to our second YouTube channel, so it's youtube.com/deepmindfulness2. That has the playbacks of all of the live streams. And this is part, this is number 7 of 7. And so each one is sort of going over one of the atomic skills that you can learn individually. So if that's of interest, you can dive into those. That's in particular there, but you have your own particular path, and part of it is to talk about and figure out what that path is and then optimize your meditation techniques in that direction.
Awesome. Wonderful.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you
Yeah,
so
great
much.
work, and nice to meet you, by the way. It's very funny. Raquel and I, we do all this stuff. We make all these things, and we see, oh, looks like 100 people watch this video, or whatever, whatever the numbers are, and it's so great when we get to actually see, oh, like this number is a fully grown person who has a whole life and interest and practice. It's one of our favorite things. So thanks for introducing yourself. I didn't catch your friend or partner's name.
Chappelle.
Chappelle. Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome, you too. And do you practice as well?
Yeah, I do. Right now I'm using kind of like the Mind Illuminated framework.
Oh, cool.
And I'm like super interested in like samatha practice and vipassana practice, but mostly samatha right now.
Mm-hmm.
I want to cultivate the jhanas currently in my practice. And from that meditation and like just recently, I just feel like I have a lot of, the piti, the joy in my body. And it's just kind of like sitting there, and I'm trying to like direct it towards jhanic states, but it's just not going,
Sure.
But with that last meditation we did, I felt the pity in my body, and you're going through like talking through like the self and like what's it feeling right now, and I kind of just felt like there was just really a lot less self thing going on. Like I was getting in this like really equanimous state with the pity in the background, but I just didn't feel like I needed to do anything with it. It was just like steadily more and more equanimous and kind of getting like deeper until the bell rang.
There you go. Okay, well, excellent. I'm glad to hear that. And it's worth noting that I'm familiar with, and I'm by no means an expert in the Mind Illuminated system, although I've moved through a lot of that material, and so I'm giving that a little bit of context. Is that I find with folks a lot of the time that their system is not in a place that really wants to do a certain thing. So it's possible that right now your system is actually leaning you more towards the Vipassana side, and it's just observing the sort of nature of this material coming and going, or its sort of dynamic nature, or noticing the mind, for instance, forming, packaging data into meaning, or these kind of things. So just know that I encourage everyone, if that's your interest and goal is to go towards jhanic material, then to go for it. And sometimes the system just is so uninterested in that we have to take a different direction. So just keep the possibilities open, and know that sometimes you just have to adjust the conditions. Right now it might be like X or Y. So often with the Mind Illuminated, people get stuck. I think it's on like between levels 4 and 5, and then like at 7 or something like this. I forget the exact numbers of where things are, but just know that often it's the system wanting to process some material, some historical data, some karma or something like this, or it's the system just wanting desperately to move towards the more insight-related material. So that said, either that or just ignore everything I just said and just jump into what you're doing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And it looks like I think we have another friend here on Zoom on my other. Let's see. Where are we here? Oh, hello. Let's see. Oh, no, Monica. I was like, oh, Monica, who's that? Okay. I pinned this. Okay, unpin video. Oh, it looks like, okay, whoever it was disappeared. I'm going to put that back on the screen in case somebody wants to jump in here. You don't have to, though, if you don't want to. No pressure. Okay, so Nick says, so thanks folks for jumping on here. It's lovely to have you, as always. So Nick says, just some more spam. Another, okay, so sorry. Thanks for today. Got to go. Stress part, checking back. bye. And then Nick says, another voice also said that I should have got, sorry, my dyslexia is fully kicking in. Another voice also said that I should have got some of this by now from the series, but poor brain feels fried and reverts back to the dysfunction under pressure. So if there's any time left after the live stuff, I'll just ask without shame. So worth mentioning, and this is also to the last question, there's so much happening right now that it's very much not surprising if our practice would seem less like it's moving forward right now. Raquel recently wrote this, one of our weekly newsletters that said, our practice should be as strong and should be as resilient as our environment is sort of chaotic or difficult. And what often happens is, our environment will become more chaotic and it'll feel like, oh, my practice sort of, is failing in some way. But it's really important to know that, practice is extremely flexible, and sometimes we experience the world like a beginner, and that doesn't mean our practice is going downhill. It often means there's just more weight on the barbell. So know that if right now what used to feel like momentum has sort of collapsed down and it feels like, oh, this is where I was, X long ago, it's not necessarily because your practice is failing, it's just that life is becoming more intense. And sure, it'd be nice if practice only continued in one continuous uphill or whatever model you want to use, a downhill down to the, the emptiness form. And that said, just know that that's very common, and that's actually accepting that and working with whatever's arising is very fruitful in that way. And I just remembered, Monica, you had mentioned also this question around different Mahayana practices with sort of the inside and outside of identities merging and stuff, and that was a whole thing I would have chatted about. Maybe we'll put a pin in that, but that's a really interesting topic related to this stuff. Nick also says, any pro tips for regular Joes how to deal with an actually skillful, helpful way to hugely emotionally or intellectually drained obligations towards work and family? Okay, there's a number of words there. I think I've got it. What can you do? What can you do better to be able to honor those when I'd just feel like laying down for like a week or a month? Maybe connects to our current work with the work with paramedics or not. Okay, so there's a lot there, but basically I'm going to summarize this into, for regular people who have regular challenges, what does one do when we're sort of wiped out? And what do we do when we have other people who rely on us in this world? Well, there's a few things. One is to recognize that the difficulty we're experiencing, the difficulty all of us are experiencing, this relates to today's practice, is first recognizing that whatever is arising is natural. It is nature. It's the nature of the mind to be distracted. It's the nature of the mind to be agitated. It's the nature of the mind to sometimes be very balanced and focused and these kind of things. So know that all of these are entirely, ordinary experiences. And part of that is a level of acceptance. Okay, what's happening makes perfect sense. Of course, there's an experience of stress or anxiety or this kind of thing at what's happening. That's one part. Another part is to recognize that there are different selves that are active. One self that wants to take a rest and sleep and just disappear. And another self that is like, well, I have family obligations here. I want to, do right by my family and the people who care about me and that kind of thing. We have a new follow here. Thank you so much for the follow, Dusan. I think that says Dusan. Yeah, Dusan. Thank you so much. Which is a reminder, if folks want to follow us here on Twitch, that means you get updates and you're a follower. You become a follower. Oh, we have another one from Monica. Oh, Monica, I remember that time we had a nice chat. Lovely. Well, thank you so much for that. Gives you updates for when we go live, that kind of thing. So what does one do? Okay, so first we're recognizing that these things are natural. Second, recognizing that there are these different parts with different needs, and those needs are natural, and those needs effectively need to be met. A lot of what people often do in meditation is they say, well, there's the good side of me that wants to meditate and work hard and this kind of thing. And then there's this bad side of me that wants to, relax or hang out, or there's this judgmental side. This is a classic one. There's part of me that just judges everyone and everything. But, and that part's terrible. I got to get rid of that part. And it's like, it's funny at some point because you realize, like, I remember I used to have someone I was helping with recovery a number of years back, and they were very hard on themselves. So I said, hey, it seems like sometimes you're really hard on yourself. He's like, oh, you're right. I'm such an idiot. And it's like, the tool wants to use, the mind wants to use itself to solve every problem, and selves want to use themselves to solve every problem. So if we have a judgmental self, it wants to use judgment and to beat itself up in order to be free, which the irony there you might already see is pretty silly. So what we want to recognize is that judgmental self has a drive, has a need underneath all of that. If we can meet that need, then that drive, that self, that need, that expressed need set will diminish, will not have to express itself in all sorts of sort of harmful ways. Often a judgmental self is scared, so it feels afraid. So how can this kind awareness soothe this self that feels scared? It says, I don't know, it could be in any number of things. Hey, I'm here with you. I'm here with you. And we're starting to kind of find these little slices and then be able to care for those and be able to care for those over and over again, solving the need or resolving the need, and then creating a situation where it doesn't need to arise in lots of unconscious ways. What can often happen is if these things are arising unconsciously, and often they arise as a pair, right? There's a judgmental self and then the part that says, oh, I shouldn't be like that. I should be a good person, right? They can come in these pairs. Often we prioritize the needs of one over the other. So it sounds like here, there's part of you that's prioritizing the need of your family and saying that's the good one. But this need that wants to rest, that one I just got to get rid of. I just want to, lose that. But it's a valid need. So how do you meet that need? This is the most recent big example I can give is Raquel tells this story about she's both doing a PhD and wants to have a life. Like major conflict here, because those two things don't necessarily, work well together. So what she did was look at those different needs, look at these different forces, one that just wanted to lay down, and every time she had to work was like, no, I want to lay down. And another part that's like, I gotta work. And is like, shut up, you stupid lay down, self. And recognizing that until she could fill both of these needs, she was going to, there's just going to be a huge amount of friction and tension and pain in that way. So she took time to meet both of the needs, so that one strategy is when you're relaxing to really, really relax. And that voice that comes in that says, why are you relaxing? You shouldn't be doing this. You have to metabolize that and with a kind awareness. Okay, it's not time for you. And when we're taking the action, doing the work, to do the work and recognize, hey, we're going to, here we are. We're this productive side that wants to accomplish things. Its needs are also valid too. So we're going to do the work. We're going to take the action. And, this side that wants to rest, it's not time for you. I hear you, but we're just going to put that aside right now. And with that, it reduced the friction in the system so much for Raquel that she could then take a ton of action and really, she just finished her dissertation proposal in 2 months instead of a year and 2 months, because there was some weird thing with her professor or whatever, but she had to do that. And she still managed to go to the retreat that I taught with Shinzen. She still managed to, have a life, and we'd watch, TV and like whatever, just hang out, because she reduced the sort of, the friction and the intensity of those two parts conflicting. So that's my average Joe, suggestion is to know that these parts exist, recognize that they're natural, see as much as we can to meet those particular needs without the other one crowding out and saying like, I'm a better need in that certain particular way. So, that's what I would generally say. So folks, if there's no more reports or questions arising, I'm not seeing, we're pretty chill on the, on Zoom. So folks, we're going to call it a day. But big announcement, I'm putting this doodle back into the, did I post that yet? I don't know if I did. Oh, here. Okay, so here's a doodle poll. We're going to be launching this Progressive Shinsight class, which is a class focused on the path of classical awakening laid out by Mahasi Sayadaw and the Visuddhimagga of the progressive insight and how that relates to Shinzen Young's mindfulness system, doing the two together and integrating that material into our lives. That's going to be launching soon, but this poll is to decide which time slot we want to do. So if people decide, or if people pick there, then we'll pick a time slot that works for you, and then that way we'll know. That's happening, and then we're going to be launching our multiple selves model class and our beginner's guide to advanced meditation class, which will be coming and not too terribly long. So folks, as always, great to see you here. I'm going to put on the end music, but I can still see, hear, feel you. Oh, we have a new outro screen, and the premise is staying in touch with loved ones, staying in touch with those who are important to us. So folks, as always, so lovely to see you here, so lovely to be here with you. Thank you so much for your presence and time, and it's always a pleasure to connect. Thank you to everyone who's able to participate today. Thank you to Monica, and please forgive me, and to your partner whose name I'm forgetting, or friend I didn't actually find out. Thank you so much. Tell me your name though. Oh, Chappelle. Right, exactly. Okay. So Monica and Chappelle, thank you so much for jumping on. It's great to hear from you and to hear about your practice. Please don't hesitate. We want to know how things are going. Of course, Nick and John and everyone else who's able to participate here. Lucian from Toronto, many others. People watching the playback, thank you so much for being here. We love having you, and we will be back here in fewer than 72 hours. And I think we're starting a new series, and so folks have input on that, what they want to do, what we should do. Drop me a line. We can focus on anything we want for a period of time, and yeah, we're having some fun. So folks, great to see you as always, and don't hesitate, reach out. Look forward to talking to everyone soon. Okay.